And I was looking forward to learning as much from this hurricane as possible. If you're told to evacuate, you need to evacuate. The carport that I believe you see in the video is what we refer to as a shelter of last resort.
Are you okay?
I'm a professional storm chaser and extreme weather photographer. I've been studying hurricanes for several years. This was my 10th.
Oh my God, here comes another one. It's bad. It's bad.
Reed admits what he does is dangerous.
Hang on, Greg. Hang on.
But says in the case of Charley, he just got caught up by a fast-moving, unpredictable storm.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Right now, the time is roughly 4:37. We are watching a neighborhood disintegrate. This is Hurricane Charley. For the past 5 minutes or so, we have been experiencing winds in excess of 100 miles an hour. It is tearing off roofs. Get behind it. It'll kill it. Category 4 hurricane. I hope I'm recording.
It's for the professionals. For the rest, don't try this at home.
You ever want to know what it looks like inside a Category 4 hurricane? This is it. I'm wondering if we got hit by a tornado. I don't know.
Jim Reed says he works with professional meteorologists who track the storm for him. And of course, while he admits this is exciting,
Hang on.
Hurricane Charley showed no mercy. Even the bravest of storm chasers were stunned.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
At daybreak, the devastation left by Charley was in plain sight. Aircraft turned upside down, entire neighborhoods destroyed. And then there's the mounting human toll. The state is using these refrigerated trailers as mortuaries, a sign it's too early for estimates.
They can't get the search and rescue teams out into every possible place to be able to quantify the number of deaths.
Charley unleashed much of its fury on Punta Gorda, leveling huge sections of the city's downtown, putting merchants like jewelry store owner De La Francois out of business.
I wasn't prepared for it.
You didn't think there would be a direct hit here?
No.
What's lost in all this destruction is not just how many people died, that will be known in time. It's why so many people decided to stay behind. It may be a case of human nature versus forces of nature. I mean, what do you think when you look up in your home and you see the sky?
I think, where am I going to be tomorrow?
Residents like Vicki Price tried to ride out Charley, listening to forecasts that showed the hurricane heading north.
We thought it was going to hit up at Tampa.
Vicki was working at this nursing home when the hurricane ripped off its roof, while elderly residents were still inside. She believes state and local officials let her down.
I think that we should have been told to evacuate. We even had trouble reaching emergency management.
But there's a limit to our knowledge. Nature still has secrets we don't understand, and part of that are hurricanes that rapidly intensify and can turn quickly.
The state's emergency management director says officials plan to investigate why so many people ignored or did not hear orders to evacuate.
We activated the emergency alert system to notify people to turn locally to their stations, that they had very little precious time now to act.
If they give the alert, get the hell out. Don't stay.
People in Punta Gorda paid a high price for playing the odds with Charley. It's a gamble many here don't plan to take again. It may take days to determine what happened to the hundreds of people who are reported missing. With cell phone service interruptions and power outages, the communication is limited.
On a day when many in Southwest Florida are wondering about tomorrow, Sandy and Don McGibbon say they're just thankful to be here today.
You make pacts with God, just please, let us be alive.
For the longtime Punta Gorda residents, Friday the 13th ended up being a race against the clock.
And then an hour later it was a Category 3, and a half hour later it was Category 4, and by then it's too late to leave.
Fearing their historic house would not hold, they scrambled to a neighbor's newer house.
It's not our first rodeo, it's just the worst one.
Survivors of many storms, the McGibbons held tight as Charley toppled their town.
Windows were blowing out, water's coming in, the howling is just incredible.
They emerged 3 hours later to find their street devastated and their home in shambles.
If we'd stayed here, somebody would have gotten hurt badly.
Even the worst of the what-ifs can't destroy what matters most.
As I see friends, friends that are just so glad to see you, that, you just think, wow, That's what's important.
For many surviving families here, that is the painful but welcome lesson.
And you have to wonder how many of those families there are, families just like the McGibbons, who have come back to something at least, and at least have each other.
Carrying strong winds and a frightening reputation,
it's getting worse by the second.
Charley made an early charge toward the coast, but it was not the same Charley that devastated Florida. The hurricane did not recharge over the Atlantic. Its sustained winds had dropped from 145 to 85 miles an hour. Hurricane Charley came ashore just before midday, making landfall for the second time in less than 24 hours, this time ripping into the Carolinas. Nearly 200,000 had been evacuated from beach towns hours before, just in case. A handful of thrill seekers stayed behind to see it.
You're witnessing an act of Mother Nature. This is God's strong hand. I just love it.
One tried to surf it.
I walked out there and got far enough, then I stepped a couple more feet and it started taking my feet out from under me. I don't feel like drowning today.
But Charley sped through too fast to do much harm. A few thousand people lost power, but no one was hurt. In a matter of hours, it was gone.
This is not major damage. This is minor damage right now.
Minor damage from a major storm, but here it's already a memory. Kelly Kobiea, CBS News, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina.
Severely weakened from the Category 4 that made landfall on Friday, the remnants of Hurricane Charley are hugging the Atlantic coast into the northeast. Farther south in Florida, a trail of destruction across the heart of the state.
I didn't feel too good when I came up and saw my house. It just looked like a bomb went off in there.
While some residents are able to survey the wreckage, rescue efforts are underway to recover victims. More than a dozen have already been confirmed dead. All around us, we saw the unbelievable. This is the bottom of a mobile home. Okay, the storm picked it up and literally crushed it into the side of the mobile home next to it. Homes shattered by fierce winds are now construction sites where scraps are salvaged. Hundreds of thousands are without power and water as utility companies struggle to restore basic services.
It's horrible here. It's just, and they're talking about weeks and before we see power, it could be 3 to 4 weeks. Water, 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks. I can't even imagine.
Meanwhile, the state's emergency response team is already delivering supplies, and Governor Jeb Bush has declared Florida a disaster area.
We live in paradise, and this is the kind of the balance to that we have storms.
In Charley's wake, residents are trying to put their lives back together, knowing that the hurricane season is far from over. President Bush visited the area Sunday. Jennifer Donnellan, CBS News, Punta Gorda, Florida.
The remnants of Hurricane Charley are pushing out over the North Atlantic tonight, but the tally of the storm's wrath in Florida continues to add up. Officials say at least 16 were killed in the hurricane, and overall damage estimates could top more than $20 billion. The hardest hit spot was the town of Punta Gorda. Mark Strassman is there with the latest. Mark, good evening.
Good evening, Russ. Organized chaos. That's how I overheard one relief worker describe the relief effort here, and it's a good description. This is an area of vast devastation from a storm that killed at least 16 people.
2 days into this recovery, the calamity still dwarfs the response. Charley's damage to insured property runs as high as $11 billion, and hundreds of people remain missing. In Lee County, 250,000 homes were damaged or destroyed. In Charlotte County, Charley blew away 31 mobile home parks, including this one, where we found Mickey Goddard.
This is going to be my last little place to live here, and be safe.
Crying in her total trailer, just 2 months after learning she has cancer.
I just wanted to die.
Not bad.
Everything I had.
There are so many problems. These looters are after food. Every need has long lines with frustrated people like Judy True. She wrote out Charley cowering under a mattress, she says, because nobody told her to evacuate.
You got no warning?
Not the warning of a 4 and that the eye was coming for us.
Even Charlotte County's local emergency officials are grumbling.
By the time we knew that we were in trouble, serious trouble, it was way too late to evacuate.
When Charley hit, all Florida was under a statewide hurricane warning, but evacuations are county decisions. By last Thursday evening, part but not all of Charlotte County was under a mandatory evacuation order. The storm seemed headed further north. Then on Friday at 2 o'clock, the National Hurricane Center startled Charlotte County. Charley was shifting last minute and heading their way, not to Tampa Bay. At 3:45, Charley crashed ashore Charlotte County's Barrier Islands and moving for the mainland. By then, many people here say it was too late to leave. Hurricane forecasters say the warnings were out there for days.
People knew we had a dangerous hurricane out there. The word certainly got out.
Mickey Goddard's daughter thinks many people here heard the warning but simply didn't listen.
Like, we didn't think we were going to get as much as we got. And we're standing there in the kitchen watching the patio blow away. You know, and then it kind of hits you. We better go somewhere in a closet.
For children, school's out for at least the next 10 days. Many of them will spend their time off helping their parents clean up the house on a scale they never imagined. Russ?
Mark Strassman in Punta Gorda, Florida. Thank you very much. For those returning to their homes and for rescue crews in Florida, today is another long day of assessing damage and searching for survivors. Kelly Kobiella has more on a mission that could take months.
2 full days after Hurricane Charley ambushed southwest Florida, rescue crews are still making their way from home to home.
We're just making a search of every resident in the trailer park. Make sure nobody's still left.
Hundreds of people remain unaccounted for. Most may have simply left at the last minute, but crews want to make sure no one is left behind.
I got word this morning they did find one lady that was in her closet yesterday that she thought the storm was still going on.
Now that they've survived the storm, people here are learning how to live in its aftermath. Power is slowly coming back on.
You know anybody has ice?
But it's ice and water people want.
Get a line going, get a line going.
Private relief groups are their best hope. This one drove hundreds of miles to deliver some badly needed nourishment for the body and the soul.
I think it's incredible that, in today's society they say nobody cares. That's a lie. They care. They care. Look at them. They're here.
But help came from next door, too. Al Ortiz lost half his roof, but he says his home can wait.
Well, I started helping out while I was here. There's some people that need help. There's older people that can't really carry stuff to their cars. So, basically the human spirit, people helping out each other.
The hardest part has not been helping, but reaching people. Some roads here are still clogged with debris, and many people don't want to leave their homes, no matter how badly damaged. That's not the only challenge for the Red Cross. The agency expects to spend at least $31 million and several months in Florida.
For people not here in the disaster area, it's a story for a couple of days, and then they move on. The people in this disaster, they don't move on in a couple of days. It takes weeks and months to sort things out.
But already, patients and provisions are in short supply in a recovery that is barely 2 days old. Kelly Kobiella, CBS News, Punta Gorda, Florida.
President Bush went to Florida today to take a look at the damage Charley left behind. Joey Chen reports on the president's trip and looks at the politics of a deadly storm.
Even before many residents were allowed back into their own homes, President Bush headed to Punta Gorda for his own first-hand look, getting a bird's-eye view from his helicopter, a quick briefing from his brother the governor and other local leaders, and consoling those who'd lost everything. Mr. Bush assured devastated residents that help is on the way.
The government's job is to help people rebuild their lives. That's what's happening.
Even before the storm hit, the president declared 4 counties disaster areas to speed federal money to victims. But that quick response fueled suspicion that he is using disaster politics to help his campaign in one of the most critical battleground states, a notion the president dismissed today.
Yeah, and if I didn't come, they'd have said he should have been here more rapidly.
The president is trying not to repeat his father's mistakes. After Hurricane Andrew flattened parts of South Florida in 1992, state officials blamed the first President Bush for not answering their calls for help quickly enough and trying to make up for that by overcompensating later, a lesson the current president and political analysts have not forgotten.
President Bush Sr. Eventually put so much money into the state after Hurricane Andrew that he was accused of buying votes in that election. So there is the potential that the president could flood so much money into Florida, people would say that's political opportunism.
There's still plenty of opportunity ahead for missteps in disaster politics. Charley was just the first major storm in this hurricane season, which will continue until just before the November elections. Joey Chen, CBS News, Washington. For Florida, it's the biggest disaster since Hurricane Andrew. For the Red Cross, they say they are feeding thousands a day in their biggest challenge since 9/11. The extent of the damage is still not known, even as repairs are beginning. Mike Brown, the director of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, joins us now. Good morning.
Good morning, Hannah.
Mike, what's your top priority this morning?
Life-saving and making certain that we meet all the basic needs of all the disaster victims. People that are without homes, shelter, food, clothing. We have to take care of those victims first.
What are the most pressing needs right now? Things like food and water we hear people are in dire need of.
Absolutely. Food and water, and as you can tell right now, I'm in the middle of a disaster medical assistance team tent so we can provide mass care to all the victims of this disaster. Hospitals are without power. Some emergency rooms have been destroyed. So our primary key right now is to make certain we can get the health care and emergency care to these victims.
Mike, the figures so far putting the damage at $11 billion. We hear that 16 are dead. How much worse do you expect those numbers to get when you're done assessing the damage?
You know, I don't know, Hannah, and we're not going to really worry about those figures until we really get through the response and recovery effort. We'll eventually put damage assessors on the ground to start trying to get us a number, but right now we're focused on taking care of the needs of the victims.
Such great concern for the retirees in the area. Many of their mobile homes were destroyed, and many of them left with absolutely nothing, in need of medical care, disoriented. With this group in particular, how are you addressing their needs, and how big a challenge did they present?
Well, it is a big challenge, but I think we're going to be able to meet that. I'm going to send community response teams out into the neighborhoods, literally going door to door, crisis counselors, social workers, all to get out and find all of these individuals. Then we're going to make certain we're able to communicate with them in Spanish or English or whatever language they speak so that they can understand that we have the care for them and that we're going to try to help them get reoriented and get their feet back on the ground.
Mike, we saw the president surveying the damage with his brother, the governor of Florida, yesterday. Some people are saying in an election year you are getting particularly expedient support. Is there any merit to that?
No, there's not. I would say if you go back and look at all the disasters over the past 3 or 4 years, in fact, over the past 12 years, FEMA has been very, very responsive. Over the past couple of years since my tenure in FEMA, we have really tried to pre-position assets closer to disasters, make them more efficient, and do what we can to respond quickly. I think that's our mission. We're going to do that regardless of whether it's an election year or not. My job is to take care of these disaster victims.
And quickly, are there any real dangers that are existing now in the aftermath of the storm?
There absolutely is. People need to really be cautious as they go back into their home. There's still down power lines. They need to be careful about not using tap water. As they get into their homes, there's going to be damage in the wires dangling, aluminum dangling, that sort of thing. They have to be very, very careful as they go back into their neighborhoods.
Right, FEMA Director Mike Brown, thank you so much and good luck.
Thank you, Hannah.
Well, thousands of people felt the wrath of Hurricane Charley, and our own Jim Acosta was one of them. You actually rode out the storm. What was that like?
Well, we did. We didn't intend to. We were told in Tampa when we were covering the storm that all of a sudden Hurricane Charley had made this surprise right turn towards the Fort Myers area. We thought, well, we weren't going to have enough time, so we started heading that way. We were driving through the rains, and we thought, well, we might get close enough to at least feel part of it and be able to report what was happening. Well, as you look at the tape here, I mean, this is what it was looking like as we were driving down the interstate. I mean, obviously there were rains, there were winds, that sort of thing. It was serious, but not too serious. But when we got to the hotel, that is when things started happening. And honestly, we were inside the hotel preparing a report for the CBS Evening News when all of a sudden I saw an alert that the eye is coming through Port Charlotte, which is where we were. And so the hurricane came right through the hotel. It caved in the back side of the hotel. I saw a sofa, I'm not kidding here, Renee, I saw a sofa move 10 to 15 feet by itself inside the hotel. The guests were running for cover, as you can see here.
Where were you guys, Jim?
We were inside the hotel at the time. Our crew was outside and had to run inside because they were in danger at that point. Now, you're looking here at some of the storm chaser video, and I think this accurately depicts what we were going through at that time. But we were inside, thank goodness. These guys were outside. Obviously, this is storm chaser video. This is not video that we shot. We did not intend to get into a situation like that, just found ourselves in this position because the storm, as the forecasters were telling everybody, this storm could change course, and it did.
Did you ever at any point feel that, hey, I could die covering this story?
Well, yeah, I mean, that thought did cross our mind. I mean, there was one point where my producer, Kate Rydell, and I were, diving under a table because we thought, well, this is about all that's going to keep the other 2 floors of the hotel from coming on top of us. But we had a team there that was very experienced, from our camera and audio crews to the satellite technician to our 2 producers, Jason and Kate. It was a team effort that got that on the air, and we're still getting over it.
Unbelievable. Yeah. All right. Well, you look no worse for the wear. Jim Acosta, thanks so much. This is just one of many scenes throughout the city. There's not a working stoplight here in town, power lines everywhere, and you drive around and it takes you a minute to sort of get your arms around this and realize, oh, that metal that's wrapped around this tree used to be someone's home. CBS's Melinda Murphy has been out talking to folks, too, who are trying to make the best of a really, really bad situation. So hard.
That's true. And what's really struck me, we've been here all weekend, and you start talking to people, and a lot of these people are senior citizens. So you can imagine rebuilding from something like this is really tough, but that's particularly true for anybody in their golden years, like Ellen Simone.
Well, you have to laugh, otherwise you'll cry,
But of course, Ellen has shed plenty of tears since Friday.
Oh, I cried yesterday, and I cried at 1 o'clock this morning when the rain came again because I knew what was happening.
Truth, Ellen Simone's emotions are a bit all over the place, kind of like her house.
That's my roof up in the tree. That's my roof across the street. My roof and my siding is all over town.
And what is left on Ellen's own property of her historic Punta Gorda home is in total ruins. Outside.
So that's the garage door right there, that long thing.
Right.
And inside.
This is curtains and computer stuff.
70 years worth of memories gone.
So your husband?
Come in and cry again. Yeah, 8 years ago he died.
Your husband passed away?
Yeah.
So going through this by yourself?
Well, I got the kids.
6 kids, in fact, some of whom came along with friends to help pack up her home and her Catholic bookstore.
Unless you pick up the books and really look at them, you don't realize that they're
all sopping wet.
Yucky, yeah.
Soggy books financed by her retirement money.
It's a hurricane sale.
Rebuilding with what is salvageable may not be all that safe. The ceiling is cracked, and worse.
It looks like the ceiling here is sagging.
It is.
Was it sagging before?
No, it's holding water.
But things like that don't really scare Ellen. Not much does after Friday.
Just sounded like they were peeling, somebody big was peeling off the top of a sardine can.
Ellen was actually here during the storm.
This wall was just shaking. It was like an earthquake. It was wiggling. It won't move now, but it was just like it was a piece of cardboard.
Ellen hunkered down inside this hallway, alone except for her cat, who she was holding.
You just think, maybe it's going to be the roof over my head too. Maybe this isn't the safest place.
Was there ever a point that you thought, I should have left?
Too late. Mm-hmm.
And did you ever think, I might die here today?
I thought that went through my mind,
So when you walked out, you saw everything?
Yeah. It's terrible. You just don't know where to begin, what to do. You can't think. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do.
And Ellen's daughter actually lives in Port Charlotte. Her roof was completely torn off their house too. So like many families, they were devastated by this, but they say by sticking together, they're going to be able to get through it.
Honestly, that's really one of the things I was thinking of was where do you begin? Where do you start when you see all of this devastation?
I mean, Ellen said she walked out and she just said, what do I do?
Yeah.
And when you're 70, can you just imagine, all your stuff is gone and you don't have any income to really rebuild anything?
Yeah, so tough. All right, Melinda Murphy, thanks. Part of what we see all over Punta Gorda, Florida. These palm trees, too numerous to count, that have been just ripped up by the roots, some of them weighing thousands of pounds, no doubt. So the real next part of this story is the cleanup and the recovery and the search for survivors. And CBS's Kelly Kobiea has more on that part of the story.
A real daunting challenge, Renee, to be sure. Search and rescue teams will head out for a third straight day today. They are facing enormous challenges just because of the sheer volume of damage in this area. They did find one woman still hiding from the storm in her closet on Saturday, but nothing since.
With the area's hundreds of mobile homes searched and cleared, rescue crews are moving to other neighborhoods. They still can't be sure they found everyone who was trapped in the storm. A few who stuck it out,
it all went, everything right on top of us,
have ended up here. For Mary Beth Chalmers, the shelter is now home. Her husband lost his business. Their family lost their house.
I'm saying at least a week or so because we have nowhere to go.
The Red Cross expects to spend at least $30 million helping thousands down the long and expensive road to recovery. And there is also the emotional damage.
What's the hardest thing to deal with in the first couple of days after the storm?
I think the hardest thing is for people to come to grips with the fact that their lives have changed dramatically.
Get a line going, get a line going.
Patients and provisions already are in short supply. Private relief groups from other states are trying to fill the void.
People are just in shock. Their emotions are wrecked.
In today's society, they say nobody cares. That's a lie. They care. They care. Look at them. They're here.
Help came from next door as well. Lorna Lorch packed up the family car with supplies for neighbors.
And I don't mind stepping up, but there's only so much I can do.
Well, she shouldn't have to do too much for too much longer. State and federal agencies have set up an enormous supply pipeline. They've opened the valve, and all sorts of supplies, everything from cots and blankets to hammers and nails, should be flowing into this area today. About 1 million people are still without power. It could be 2 weeks before electricity is completely restored, Renee.
That's unthinkable. Yeah, all right. CBS's Kelly Kobiea. Thanks. You know, a disaster like Hurricane Charley brings out the good in almost everyone. But some of the real heroes in this situation were the folks that dropped almost everything at a moment's notice and hightailed it up here to help out. I'm talking about part of the search and rescue team from the Miami-Dade Search and Rescue Unit. We spent some time with them yesterday, and these folks know all too well the power of a hurricane.
Blaze, come.
This is 3-year-old Blaze, a critical part of the Miami-Dade Search and Rescue Squad. Blaze, along with a 28-member team, have been in Punta Gorda since Saturday, combing the rubble for possible survivors. The work is tedious because this is one of hundreds of neighborhoods to take a direct hit from Charley. This is really hard work, it seems like. You're battling the heat, the humidity, and just the devastation. I mean, does it ever just get to be totally demoralizing for you?
No, I mean, this business is a calling, and, you do it because you want to do it.
They're not sure how long they'll be here. It could be as few as 3 days or as many as 14. But ask them and they'll tell you they'll stay as long as it takes.
We've had minimal sleep, but when you're here to help people out, you kind of forget that you need it.
And they never know what might be around the corner. While we were on our way to search another site, we came upon this car, an elderly woman inside who had broken her wrist. They stopped and helped her, but there was still more work for Blaze and the team. You going to get to work? They seem kind of anxious right now.
Oh, yeah, they want to get back out and do some work.
All in a day's work for a team that's dealing with the aftermath of Charley, but remembers Andrew all too well.
This is very bad from what we've seen, and we haven't seen it all, but I've seen worse disasters.
Now, the dogs are a really critical part of the search and rescue team effort because were it not for them, these guys would have to be in here picking up this rubble a piece at a time. And I want to show you something interesting here. This orange marker right here, what this means is when they go into a structure, they mark one side of the X and the time that they went in. When they come out and it's cleared, they complete the X so that people know it's already been searched, there was no one in there, there was no one found.
The people of Punta Gorda, Florida are living in a weather war zone. There are whole communities that will never return. And homeowners now homeless and hungry. The National Guard is running a supply station where survivors can get the basics. What's it been like these last 3 days?
Hell. Hell.
Since sunrise, they've lined up for ice, water, food.
We have porta-johns to give out.
With the town hospital damaged and closed.
So when was the last time you had your IV treatment?
A MASH-style emergency room is tending to the sick on a street corner.
My wife has been taking IV antibiotics.
It may take more than a month to restore power to hundreds of thousands of residents.
We pull up and, they're waving us through, so there's no doubt they're happy to see us.
A top priority is the region's booming retirement community. Elderly residents like 91-year-old Everett Cowan, who made it through Charley only to weather the post-hurricane heat.
I'm anxious. I wish I knew when they get the electric hooked up again.
Oh my God! Despite how it looked and sounded, Florida may well find a silver lining in those clouds of destruction. After initial reports of stacks of bodies, rescue crews are now astounded by what they're describing as a lower than expected number of deaths.
Charlotte County went through a 145-mile-per-hour Category 4 hurricane and saw a miracle.
Another miracle was this home. In 100 years, it had survived 6 hurricanes. The owner wasn't counting on 7.
We came around the corner and we burst into tears, and our house was still here.
Over the weekend, 2 tropical storms formed, then moved away from the U.S. Tonight, forecasters say the coast is clear.
By boat, Rudy and Nancy Mosney hope to sneak past federal agents guarding Sanibel Island, where Charley first came ashore, wrecked homes, and snapped so many trees and power lines. For now, all the island is considered dangerous and off-limits.
We're not allowing any resident.
Patrols with guns guard the only bridge onto this exclusive island.
It's in pretty bad shape.
And the water that surrounds it. But like most of Sanibel's 6,000 residents, the Mosneys just want to know, how bad is it?
It's just a hassle.
And frustrating not being able to...
Yeah. Not knowing what really is happening there.
Everyone on the island was ordered off last Thursday, and now no one can tell them when they'll be allowed back. And many of them are angry.
I don't think it's fair for you to restrict me from my property.
There's danger there, and public safety is absolutely first and foremost for all of us.
But the Mosneys took their chances.
Which house is yours?
Straight ahead.
Patrols never saw this boat, so now the Mosneys see their house. Charley chewed away some landscaping, but inside their waterfront home is virtually untouched.
We were expecting 2 feet of water with a storm surge in here.
5 days of anxiety gone, and that's what all their neighbors want to know, their share of Charley's misery.
Only emergency officials are getting through here. These guardsmen will stop everyone else at this toll booth for at least the next couple of days. Some residents say it's like martial law. They say they just want the chance to see what they've lost.